The last night we're here, we were talking just generally about characters, because there's stories about the characters that you would know. This is one of the things about the great playwrights. When they write about characters, we can all almost recognise them. Every character that George Shields ever wrote, that ever I read about, I know all these people around home. Carbon copies of them living next door to you and down the road and across the fields from you. So they're everywhere, and it's only a matter of observing them and finding out where they are. And sometimes, of course, people enlarge on them. I was thinking of a character from near home, a wee man who lived in a town land called Skelpie, outside Castlefinn, about 2.5 miles. A few years ago, and his name was Hughie McSwine. Now, I don't know if Hughie McSwine was his proper name or not. It may have been McSweeney, or it could have been McSwiggan, because I have a funny feeling from stories I heard about him that he had some Scottish blood in him. But the mixture of Scottish and Irish blood makes for great characters anyway. And Hughie was one of these, a wee knacket of a character who was obstreperous in every way, and got up everybody's nose that he met, because he lived on his own for many years, and he used to keep 2 or 3 goats, including what we would call a buck goat as well. And Hughie wasn't in the town very often. What he called the town, of course, was Strabane, was his town, and that had been our main town, although I live in a village called Castlefinn, but it was always known as the town. But then you're going to Strabane, that was the town, that was somewhere special. But every fair day, Hughie found himself at the fair in Strabane. And the results of that visit to the fair in Strabane was that he found himself at the petty sessions, always following the fair day in Strabane, because he was always getting into trouble with the police and causing rows and ructions and arguments. Not very harmful stuff, but he was always in trouble with the law anyway. And Hughie was in Strabane this particular day anyway, and the usual story, he was drunk and disorderly and was summoned by a constable to attend the court in Strabane. So he found himself up in front of the RM in Strabane this particular day, and the RM looked down at him, and he said, after the constable read out the summons, the charge, he said, Mr. McSwine, on the day in question, were you as drunk as the constable says you were? And Hughie was in the court that day, and he was drunk at the court. And he looked up and he says, I was. He says, I was as full as a judge. And the judge was a bit taken aback. He looked down and he said, you mean, Mr. McSwine, you were as full as a lord? And Hughie says, yes, my lord. Later on that evening, he found himself in Castlefinn, where he would have done his local shopping. And they wandered into Barney Qunn's bar in Castlefinn, be about 7 or 8 in the evening, and they had he was a bit under the weather right enough. And of course all the people who were in the bar at that time would have known where Hughie was that day, because small places like Castlefinn and the surrounding districts, everybody knows everybody else's business, sometimes better than they know it themselves. And Hughie came into Qunn's pub, Barney Qunn's pub, and it was Barney Quinn himself, God rest him, who told me this story himself. And he came into Barney Quinn's pub, you see, and all the boys started to dump one another when Hughie came in the door, because they were going to take a bit of a rise out of him. So John McKinney says, oh, it's Hughie, says, you in the town today? Aye. I'm not, what, you don't be often in Castlefinn. Hughie says, not in Castlefinn. I was in Strabane. Quinn's pub was in Castlefinn, but he was only on his way home, but he meant he wasn't in the town, you see. He didn't come to the town to shop, in other words. So John says to him, well, what were you doing in Strabane? Down at the court. Oh, were you down at the court, I see. And how'd you get on? He says, I was fined 5 shillings. Boys, John says, that's powerful. You were fined 5 shillings, Hughie. What did you were fined 5 shillings for? And Hughie says, I was fined ½ a crown for drunk and disorderly, and ½ a crown for tempt of court. Well, John says, I know about this drunk and disorderly, carry on. He says, but what's this tempt of court? Well, he says, well, now boy sitting up in front of me the other way, a wig on him. And he says, I was told that I had to call him my lord. And he says, I refused to call him my lord. John says, you were right. I said, see, he's not my lord, and I wasn't going to call him my lord. John says, no, you were right, John. You were right to not call him your lord. Sure, he's not your lord that was crucified in Calvary. No, says she, but he should have been.